Pozole, a traditional Mexican soup, has been disturbingly associated with a macabre practice by cartels for dissolving human remains in acids. Incredibly, this is not the sole brutal form of punishment employed by Mexican cartels, such as dismemberment, a gruesome process that involves making various cuts to the physical parts of the victims. Dismemberment stands as one of the most exceedingly brutal methods of punishment employed by Mexican cartels, frequently utilized as an extreme form of reprisal against rivals or traitors both within and outside of criminal organizations. This kind of extreme violence was particularly notorious during violent confrontations between rival cartels, where dismemberment not only resulted in the physical elimination of individuals, but also served as a stark warning to those who dared to oppose these powerful organizations. The video recordings of dismemberment incidents were often captured and circulated among various criminal factions as a method to instill deep-seated fear and showcase the formidable power and influence of the cartel. An example of an emblematic case was the end of Omar Flores, known as El Vago, a cartel leader from Michoacán and the son of a powerful illicit substance trafficker. El Vago was at the center of one of the most violent disputes between the Jalisco New Generation cartel and its rivals, especially the Michoacán family cartel. This conflict, which reached its peak in the early 2010s, led to a series of attacks. After the demise of Carlos Mendoza, the Jalisco cartel sought to expand its influence in various regions, including Michoacán, where the Michoacán family still held significant power. This aggressive expansion ultimately culminated in the abduction and demise of El Vago. He was apprehended and savagely dismembered by affiliates of the Jalisco cartel, serving as a stark message to both their allies and adversaries. Cannibalism is a practice that involves the consumption of human flesh and also the humiliation of victims, who are forced to participate in the process in a brutal manner. Frequently, the affiliates of these criminal organizations employed the practice of cannibalism as a method of instilling fear, compelling victims to ingest portions of their own bodies or those of other individuals, which resulted in a profoundly devastating psychological impact. In addition to inflicting physical pain, the act of compelling an individual to consume human flesh had a deeply profound impact on the psyche, generating an overwhelming sense of extreme powerlessness and subjugation. Cannibalism within the criminal cartels was additionally associated with the notion of marking territories and asserting dominance. Numerous acts of this nature were recorded on video, which were subsequently shared among members of various criminal factions as a method to propagate fear. Cannibalism within the Mexican criminal cartels was not solely restricted to compelling victims to consume human flesh, but could additionally encompass the consumption of parts of the victim's own body as a method to further intensify the individual's degradation. This generated a profound sensation of complete loss of control over one's own physical body and was utilized to dismantle any attempt at resistance or escape. The internment of living individuals is a method employed to penalize members deemed as traitors or adversaries. This procedure entails immobilizing the victim, subsequently placing them in a grave that has been excavated beforehand. In numerous instances, the individual is positioned while remaining fully conscious and subsequently covered with soil or cement, effectively thwarting any attempt to escape. The inception of this practice is associated with strategies utilized by various groups across history, both within military contexts and in situations of political repression and organized crime. In the specific situation of Mexico, there exist documented records that indicate criminal organizations adopt this particular method as an alternative approach to other forms of elimination, thereby avoiding noise, traces, or unnecessary attention from the authorities. One of the most renowned cases involving this particular practice involves Joaquim El Chapo Guzman, the notorious leader of the Sinaloa cartel. During his trial proceedings in the United States, a former affiliate of the group, Isaias Valdez Rios, recounted having observed Guzman instruct his men to excavate a grave prior to shooting a rival. Even though wounded, the victim still shows signs of life when thrown into the hole and covered with dirt. According to the account, before that, the individual had been kept in a shed for days and subjected to interrogations. In addition to the case involving Joaquim El Chapo Guzman, other analogous occurrences have been documented. In the state of Chiapas, 31 human remains were retrieved from hidden graves. In the state of Jalisco, which is a region embroiled in territorial disputes between various criminal organizations, The individuals were discovered in multiple locations, and thorough investigations revealed that a significant number of them had been buried alive as a method of reprisal or punishment. The discovery occurred following information provided by local residents who had reported suspicious activities in secluded areas. The corkscrew was infamous for causing severe harm when pierced into and removed from victims' muscles. Originally meant for opening bottles, it was used to inflict deep, painful wounds. This was often followed by applying irritating substances like pepper, which greatly increased pain and further slowed the recovery of those affected. Comparable techniques involving piercing instruments had previously been utilized across various periods and locations, predominantly within contexts of conflict and suppression. In the Mexican context, this particular practice evolved into a method of punishment employed by criminal organizations to assert their dominance and weaken their adversaries. A high-profile case involved members of the group known as Los Nines, a faction closely associated with the notorious Sinaloa cartel. For an estimated duration of around 2 hours, an individual identified as victim number 5 was subjected to repeated piercing with a corkscrew, which was continuously inserted and withdrawn from their muscles, resulting in deep and severe wounds. Under the authoritative leadership of Ivan Archibaldo Guzman Salazar, who is one of the sons of Joaquim El Chapo Guzman, the victim was subsequently shot. The involuntary extraction of teeth involved the removal of an individual's teeth without the use of appropriate equipment, thereby amplifying the suffering and significantly compromising the affected person's overall health. The procedure, besides inflicting severe bodily harm, renders eating and speaking quite challenging, leaving enduring scars. This kind of practice traces its origins to methods utilized in historical times when it was implemented as a form of punishment in oppressive situations. Within the realm of organized crime, the extraction of teeth commenced as a method to demoralize opponents and exert control, while simultaneously serving as a cautionary message to those who dared to oppose the prevailing group. In numerous instances, the unfortunate victim undergoes the extraction of their teeth individually using makeshift instruments, as a method to obtain crucial information regarding alliances and rival operations. This particular practice involves the application of extremely hot peppers, often in their most potent forms, to sensitive areas of the body. This method not only inflicts severe pain but also causes extended and unbearable suffering due to the intense burning sensation produced by the peppers. As the cartel's power grew, their methods for punishing and controlling enemies evolved into more complex forms, clearly intending to send a strong message about the severe consequences for those who dared to oppose them. The employment of natural substances, such as potent peppers, functioned as a method to bypass techniques that could potentially leave enduring marks or attract the attention of external authorities. The tactic of employing peppers became closely linked with influential individuals within the cartels. Among the most infamous was the offspring of Joaquim El Chapo Guzman, who, together with other affiliates of his inner circle, gained notoriety for his extreme cruelty. In one of the most astonishingly shocking variations of this particular method, adversaries were compelled to consume exceedingly spicy peppers, which were then applied directly to their exposed and open wounds. In certain instances, the peppers were additionally inserted into the victim's nostrils, significantly intensifying the burning sensation and overall suffering. Serving the tiger is an exceptionally ruthless method employed to punish individuals deemed enemies or traitors. This method encompasses a brutally severe approach where the captured individuals are fed to tigers or, in even more extreme instances, delivered either alive or deceased to these fierce and ferocious animals. The practice commenced to proliferate as the influence of the cartels expanded, and the techniques of punishment evolved to become increasingly violent and shocking. The utilization of tigers, creatures renowned for their immense strength and ferocity, serves both as a method to instill profound terror and to eradicate those who pose a threat to the structure and control of illegal substance trafficking operations. This extraordinarily extreme practice has been documented in certain regions, particularly where the Sinaloa cartel, under the leadership of El Chapo and his sons, operates. The usual process involves capturing an adversary who might be a member of a rival cartel or an individual considered to be a traitor. After being captured, the victim is subjected to an interrogation process where crucial information is extracted. Once this information is considered adequate, the prisoners are transferred to the tigers, which are maintained in strategic locations by the cartels. Depending on the situation, the victim may be thrown alive into the animal's cage, where they suffer the immediate consequences of being attacked. Or, in more macabre cases, they are already placed without vital signs in front of the tiger. What remains of the victims is discarded in various parts of the areas controlled by the cartel. The acid dissolution method involves the complete breakdown of human remains using potent chemical agents, such as hydrochloric acid or other highly corrosive compounds. The term pozole, which refers to a traditional Mexican dish, is associated with this macabre practice due to the resemblance to the appearance of dissolved victims, becoming a slang term to describe this type of crime. One of the most significant and impactful cases involving the practice of acid dissolution is that of Santiago Mesa Lopez, infamously known as El Pozolero. He was employed by the Tijuana cartel to eliminate the remains of victims who were attacked by cartel members. Mesa Lopez utilized a combination of hydrochloric acid along with other chemical substances for the purpose of dissolution. This was a procedure he executed in sizable drums. It is estimated that he dissolved over 300 individuals during the period he was employed by the cartel. Following his arrest, Mesa Lopez disclosed in statements that the procedure could extend from several days to multiple weeks, contingent upon the quantity of acid utilized and the physical state of the victim. Flaying entails the meticulous removal of an individual's skin, typically in a prolonged and agonizing manner, serving as a method to reinforce the dominance of the cartel. During the implementation of this particular method, the victim is typically kept fully conscious, causing the suffering to be extended and become even more distressing. The practice of flaying has become closely associated with some of the most influential and powerful cartels operating in Mexico, such as the notorious Sinaloa cartel. Members of rival factions or even individuals considered to be traitors within the same organization are subjected to this horrific fate. The procedure initiates with the extraction of the outermost layers of the skin, particularly in the more delicate and sensitive regions such as the face and arms. This method of extreme brutality induces indescribable agony and culminates in an almost unrecognizable physical appearance. Following the extraction of the skin, the individual is left in a public location to be found, with what is left of them being exhibited as a cautionary message to those who might dare to oppose the authority of the cartel. One of the methods of brutality employed by the cartels involves the coerced administration of illegal substances, with the intention of extending the torment experienced by the victims. Narcotics are administered into the individual through various methods, including intravenous injection or oral consumption. The primary effect of utilizing these substances is to maintain the victims in a state of wakefulness for extended durations, thereby intensifying the sensation of exhaustion and anxiety. These substances are meticulously administered in a regulated manner by members of the cartel, whose primary objective is to ensure that the victims remain incapable of escaping while being subjected to additional forms of violence. The extension of the enforced state of heightened alertness makes the experience significantly more distressing, as the effects of the substances induce tachycardia, a loss of control, and an intense amplification in physical sensations. The lethal confrontations serve no other purpose than to reinforce the cartel's dominance and create a horrifying spectacle of terror. These brutal fights are frequently imposed on survivors of other forms of violence or individuals who, for some reason, have been captured by the cartels. Typically, the victims are coerced into engaging in combat under extremely inhumane conditions. Moreover, the cartel insists that individuals partake in these brutal fights with virtually no genuine chance of survival, compelling them to continue fighting until the very last moment. The psychological pressure is equally as intense as the physical violence, given that the victims are acutely aware that, should they refuse, their lives will be brutally and mercilessly ended. This particular method is predominantly employed to establish dominance and solidify control over specific regions. In numerous instances, those who are captured are individuals accused of being informants or betrayers. By compelling these individuals to battle until the very end of their existence, the cartel not only physically eradicates those deemed troublesome, but also conveys a powerful message to others who might contemplate collaborating with opposing factions or governmental authorities. Dry drowning represents a variation of the simulated drowning technique, more commonly recognized as waterboarding. In contrast to the traditional version, which takes place in water, this method commences with the victim being securely tied up and immobilized, rendering it challenging to move or attempt any form of escape. A piece of fabric or plastic material is carefully placed over the individual's face, and a liquid substance, typically water, is gradually poured over the person's face, obstructing the air passages. The primary objective is to simulate the terrifying sensation of drowning, provoking an intense panic response as the individual desperately struggles to breathe. Although this particular type of technique is primarily known for its strong association with interrogation contexts and various forms of coercion in other scenarios, such as in military practices, Mexican cartels have adapted versions of this practice in their dynamics of control and punishment. Within the context of these organized crime cartels, the method of waterboarding on dry land is employed to extract crucial information from individuals or as an extreme form of punishment. Do not forget to subscribe to watch more videos like this.